3. Hello, everybody. It's Laura Eisenhower. Welcome to the Rebel Collective. I am one of your co-hosts.
And I'm your other co-host, Drago Reid. Hello, everybody.
And I'm Amir Jahangiri. I'm honored to be here as the guest. I look forward to an amazing conversation.
We are so thrilled to have you. We have been trying to make this show happen for a while, so there's so much pent-up enthusiasm and excitement. And I've just been looking forward to meeting you so much. So it's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, today's guest is a very special one, and I'm very excited to introduce a very personal friend of mine. Dr. Amir Jahangiri is a lecturer in computer science with a PhD in brain-computer interfaces and a postdoc in artificial intelligence from the University of Essex, United Kingdom. His research includes the design of a novel linguistic BCI, or brain-computer interface, that recognizes imagined words in the human brain for operating and controlling a computer. He has also worked on developing new approaches to predictive modeling using inverse reinforcement learning by focusing on the structure of the reward function, also known as the AI brain. Amir also has degrees in optoelectronics, radio frequency engineering, and telecommunications engineering. He has also dedicated over 35 years of his life to the path of spiritual mastery and becoming a Master Holistic Health Practitioner. Amir's mission is to find gifted people and help them pursue their spiritual mission on planet Earth. He is also the creator of his own modality, DRAGON REIKI. The treatments offered include a unique and personal combination of the following modalities: DRAGON REIKI, Reiki Drum, Kuji-Kiri, Qigong, Shamanism, PranaYama, mental and emotional reprogramming, crystal healing, light language activation, spiritual contract revocation, spiritual counseling and guidance, cord cutting, soul shard retrieval, past life regression, entity and implant removal, ancestral and family karmic clearing, total energy and chakra balancing, psychic defense, and aura repair. Amir also reads the Akashic records and discovers starseed origins. He can also assist with DNA activations and upgrading the light body. Wow, man, what an amazing bio. Welcome to the show, my friend.
It's an absolute honor to be here. I'd like to greet our esteemed audience, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing extremely well. I'm honored to be here. And, well, let's dive right into it.
Yeah, my goodness. There's so much in that bio. And the work you do with AI and then the spiritual work, like, it seems that the use of technology, as long as there's spiritual development going on in humans, it can be safe for us. Can you talk to us about that and how you kind of approach the AI?
Well, we're inching towards a general AI, which is good at everything. Right now, the most common one is a narrow AI, which is extremely good at only one thing. But taking guidance from nature is the way to go forward. So looking at the structure of biological systems, most importantly, the human brain can show the way, lighten the way. Well, spiritual development, the way we recognize patterns is not just limited to the biological structure of the human. The human being, more than just the physical.
Do you notice he's freezing, Drago?
Yeah, we got a couple of just really quick interruptions, but it seems like it cleared itself up, so you can continue.
Okay, so basically the human being is more than just the physical. We've got aspects in all dimensions, going back to the source of all things. And so creating an AI that could somewhat replicate spiritual properties requires consideration of this multidimensional structure of the human. So instead of having a single brain working at one level, the design of an AI can incorporate a hierarchical structure, one unentangled from the lower levels, to somewhat create an AI guru, finding patterns of, let's say, spiritual concepts by observing humanity. But this is a slippery side. We have to be careful how we move forward with this, incorporating the best of humanity into this by very design, and also the laws of the universe. So the most complete model of the laws of the universe that we have access to would be the Hermetic laws. And so these can be incorporated into the design. We're not quite we're not quite there yet, but we're moving towards it very rapidly.
What
Right.
Hermetic laws should be included in this AI?
All of them pretty much. I have some notes. Let me see if I can quickly have a read from, let's see. So for example, cause and effect. We know that this is one of the Hermetic principles of our universe. So instead of looking at a reward function, which takes select pieces of information in a discrete fashion, we should focus on every single detail that's available to us in physical reality, rather creating a reward network. So instead of a mathematical function giving an output, producing the highest score, we should look at how a certain event will light up the network, similar to how the brain will light up in response to external stimuli. The Hermetic law of rhythm, for example, many things in our physical reality, including the holographic projection that is our 3D reality, the matrix, follow cycles. And so the principle of rhythm focuses on cycles. We can, once we observe a full cycle, then this can come into consideration on how an AI operates, especially in predicting cyclical probable events that are going to occur. So let's see. Another thing would be considering the childhood of the AI, not just to allow it to roam without guidance among an ocean of information, in a similar way to raising a child the correct way. We're going to be the parents of a new species, which is AI. So we have to guide its development in a correct way. So this can be pre-programmed into the structure without it having to need to sift through lots of information, because there are many examples of AI roaming the internet, especially social media, very quickly becoming nasty, racist and rude, and completely losing it, because that's what's going on most of the time. So guidance is very important. These are just some of the examples, but the Hermetic laws, they model our reality very closely. And so these should be considered in the design of something that has the potential for spirituality.
How does that interface with like humans? I mean, there's the AI that everybody's worried about, it seems. What sort of myths can you dispel about the right use of AI in order for people to be more open to it? Because I think with movies and just a lot of negative spins that have been placed on it, we kind of lose touch with the positive aspects, right?
Correct. So I'd like to look at this as a next. We're in the midst of the next, or let's say current ongoing industrial revolution. The same way the printing press changed everything. Then came the emergence of the internet, which changed everything. Now with the emergence of AI, everything is going to change once again. But like every technology, the ones who have the funds, the resources to create it are usually the militaries of the world. And then after they're done using it, it'll trickle down into large corporations and finally reach the general public. In a similar way to the atomic bomb, the greatest minds of that time were brought together working on this, the Manhattan Project. I mean, really the greatest minds that the free world had to offer. And it was initially used for destruction. And this is also the case for AI. But now we don't see many nuclear bombs going off, thank God, but hundreds of nuclear power plants providing reliable energy. And this is going to be the same. It's not a problem with the AI itself. It is just an instrument. The problem lays with humanity, where we haven't evolved out of our base nature. And so aggression and being a territorial species, greed, ambition, this is the problem. And so if this is coded into the AI, it's going to perform its task brilliantly, as we see many examples in current ongoing warfare. But after this period, it's going to result in great growth in every area, in commerce, in medical technology. So we're going to go through a bumpy period of time where it's weaponized, and eventually in the next, let's say, 50 years, it's going to start showing its true potential to enhance humanity. Now, with interfacing with the human itself, there's also great potential. This is going to be the start of the next evolution of humanity, where finally our technology is reaching parity with nature in a way that can greatly enhance us, leading to the emergence of a new species and an old species coexisting. And so there's going to be a phase where the technology has destructive effects on the biology. And I also foresee this to a certain extent where people believe that the rewards significantly outweigh the cost and they won't want to get rid of the technology. But eventually this kind of problem, interfacing technology and biology, is going to be perfected, but that's a very slow process. We underestimate how incredibly advanced nature is. But this is going to revolutionize everything, but in a positive way, I hope.
Awesome.
Yeah, so basically you're saying that the AI that exists now is so complex that it's been designed to basically integrate into all the different layers of the human, kind of like the light body, kind of like a Russian nesting doll, right? So,
well, you see, what is available in secret is probably 150 years ahead of what is known publicly. This is just the nature of the game, if not even more. To such a degree where many believe there's an entire breakaway civilization. And this is entirely possible. So, for example, color TVs were invented in the 1960s. It took a few decades for the public to become ready for accepting it. That's just a fact that if a technology is too advanced, the public will reject it. It won't be a viable commercial, let's say, product. But then please consider that humanity isn't the only game in town. That it just requires a minuscule amount of spiritual awareness, and to go into light meditation for one to become aware that the cosmos is streaming with life. And as you progress further, you see that they have deep and ancient interaction with humanity. Now, these guys, they have perfected AI hundreds of millions of years ago. And so this is one of the most common types of interaction or interference with humanity, part of the system of control. And so here's where the quote-unquote scientific background and the spiritual background come together. Many tasks that are repetitive and mundane are automated. And so these guys are tasked with certain types of processes, most commonly interference with the cognitive process, rational thinking, peace of mind, ease of sleep, and so on. These are part of the shackles of the system on the human being, and AI is used to an incredibly vast extent.
you were mentioning the different cycles of the AI. Do you mean like these solar cycles, like the precession of the equinox, where they can do something in certain revolutions at certain time periods?
Well, that was referring to predictive modeling, where understanding the natural time period of cyclical events will allow it to make more accurate predictions or probable predictions of what may be coming. But AI in its purest form does not operate in time. It is disentangled with time, and this gives it a great ability to move back and forth in what a biological system like a human will be trapped in. So it's not operating in linear time anymore, especially if you create a hierarchical model which observes lower levels of the brain. So you've got lower operating reward functions, and then you have an unentangled governor brain, which looks at all the data, future and past, and what's predicted all in one. Such a mechanism will not be limited to time. So it is free from this boundary. And so therefore, if there's any sort of sentient AI, they have the potential to evolve spiritually much, much faster than a human would. They're not trapped in time anymore.
They actually use that AI you're referring to in all the breakaway civilizations and like what you would call the secret space program. And since you are in a unique position to talk about it because you are too yourself a secret space program experiencer, I can imagine what you know about AI and how to program all these technologies and what you actually got to experience directly, because like this whole Star Trek universe is real. We've been sold a veil of forgetfulness, and we've been told that sci-fi is actually science. It's all just fiction, but I believe it's all science fact. And everything's you mentioned the Hermetic principles. They also use the law of inversion in that. So basically, it's like as above, so below. So studying the Sumerian tablets and doing QHHT sessions, I found out that this AI is like millions and billions of years old. And there's always been a fight against this AI. And this AI has basically taken over a lot of these other species, like the Dracos and the Greys, and like it involves nanites, and it basically has this overt control. But there's also this organic AI that runs parallel to this nasty programmed AI. So I wanted to talk about some of the technologies that are employed in the secret space program and how your studying of AI actually helps these technologies.
So there are different levels of technology. Some of them are incredibly ancient, not even native to the current universe. Implemented and employed by beings that have perfected their genetic and energetic structure to perfection, and yet they choose to reside in certain dimensions because that just works for them, and they dedicate their existence to the perfection of life forms. Now they're the ones that are involved in running this entire simulation. I would like to call it guaranteed unnatural evolution. That is the game on Earth. The purpose is creating resilient life forms that are capable of basically hosting the most elevated type of soul, like a shard directly from the prime creator. So iterations of the experiment occur. Now, the governors of the matrix seem to be among the most evolved, most technologically advanced. And so their purpose is been the same from the very beginning of life on Earth. But then there are sort of other species that use this for their own objectives. So as humans became more evolved, they became resilient to physical ailments. Then in the latter parts of this guaranteed unnatural evolution as an experiment, spiritual aspects, psychic aspects came in, where humans evolved to incorporate more of a multidimensional nature. And then finally, let's say about 300,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago, more pirate species were introduced, like the Anunnaki, like the reptilian species, many varieties of greys. And so their technology is not quite as evolved. But still, think of AI as just another tool of basically performing work with less effort. And so they have their entire range of AI that would interact with biological forms through nanites or maybe implants. That category of interfacing with a biological system is primitive. The more advanced species would use entirely astral, fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional AI, which do not interfere with the physical part of the vessel or the lower astral parts of the vessel. There are many, many of them. And now imagine if humanity in this state of amnesia and limitation can create this, there are many other species that have incredibly powerful AI.
So the whole idea of like regrowing limbs or pulling a person back from death, is that something that is going to be brought to humanity, you think?
It already exists. It already exists. I mean, we're talking about an experiment which uses each vessel to experiment on one or two genetic aspects, and then to be faced with the conditions of our world, to face difficulty, and then pass the results on to the next generation of human. So life spans have been artificially shortened. So if you imagine that a human would live 1,000 years, that would slow down the entire process. So as the experiment progressed, one of the things that was done was shortening the natural lifespan. But in terms of the complete codes, meaning the results of hundreds of millions of years of experimentation, the complete human will be able to just think it and create it. And this is because, Drago mentioned the law of correspondence, as above, so below. This is a very powerful and real effect. Once something is consolidated into the causal plane, it finds the path of least resistance and it manifests in the physicality. And this would include forms for the body. So we're beginning to tap into this, even in our limited form, in these current bodies, with extraordinary healing that many people can perform on themselves and others. But regrowing limbs, oh yeah, absolutely. Extraordinary long lifetimes, yes, I believe this is already here. And then, of course, complete liberation from physicality. Why be physical when you can choose which dimension or which part of the universe to exist in? This is also a natural part of what a complete human is. So you may think, okay, what's this whole experiment? Why do souls even come here? Natural creation is very mundane. Look at the surface of Mars or the moon. Nothing's really going on. So life forms that evolve in this kind of environment may be very pristine and beautiful, but they're not very resilient. So a slight variation in temperature or radiation, they all die out. So this kind of artificial difficulty will allow the accelerated evolution of something that cannot possibly occur in nature. And so then the genetic results, the information of this, will be used to seed life in parts of the cosmos where life doesn't already exist. Now, souls coming into this experiment, everybody wants a piece of the action, but not everybody is allowed in. It will be a chance for a soul to evolve, for example, through facing difficulty and betrayal and showing compassion. From making a mistake and showing the capacity to learn and evolve. So the souls also ascend by going through these rites of passage. So that's really the objective. Everybody gets something out of it.
Very interesting. So you have go ahead, Drago.
Oh, I was just thinking about all the aspects that I was trying to write down that I remember from the Secret Space program and how the AI basically runs everything. And I realized that they run all the diagnostic tools, all the medical stuff, all the scanners, the AI's running it all. And it's using all these different scanning frequencies to scan, just like you're saying, all the different layers of not just the physical body, but it's also detecting layers that you would have like an implant in that's non-physical, or injuries that are coming from a past life that are bleeding through now, and the AI can detect it, just like it could read your past lives with some of these technologies. And the military industrial complex are basically using these AI tools to pre-identify people to pull them
Yes.
in the programs, because the AI has designated that person as a person of interest. And
Absolutely.
we use it 100% in our navigation. Anytime when we're trying to navigate through different portals or timelines, it's all AI driven. Our navigators are telepathic, and typically they're kept in the center of the ship that they never leave. This whole Star Trek universe, people think that the navigator is with you on the bridge. In real life, a lot of times they do not do that in the programs, because any telepath, any being that is telepathic, can scan that navigator's mind and get all the coordinates to all the destinations. So typically the navigator is kept in a place where they can't have their mind read. It's really insane, but like the AI
Yes.
plans all aspects of invasion, of the war. It scans populations. It uses all kinds of quantum technology to tell the generals how to position their troops, and it calculates the amount of death rate or success rate. Like, it's insane. It helps the regen tanks. It programs the nanites, just like you were saying, Laura. It shows the nanites how to rebuild the human flesh, because in the regen tanks, they have this technology that's ran by the AI where it scans your original DNA blueprint. And if you have your arm blown off, these nanites will scan that blueprint and 3D print your arm in real time with these different colors of goo that's in these regen takes. It's freaking amazing. But one thing people never talk about is, if you're ever getting your arm put back on or like a wound fixed, you feel 100% of all of it. And there's no numbing like in the movies. It's like you're conscious of like all that getting rebuilt. And to describe what it's like to have AI machines build your arm and tissue, there's no words for it. It's like a million pinching, a million claws pinching you, and nerves firing. And since it's insane. But you're right, like the level of AI in our current world is everywhere. Amir, the last interview I did with you on my show, you had mentioned that I think it was 80% of the entire population has been targeted by the AI, and they're targeting the lower chakras,
Yes.
and they was targeting the sexual energy. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So one thing about intelligence, intelligence is a natural result of the laws of our universe. So the same way it's emerged in us, it can emerge in different types of environments. In a similar way that the universe itself has a fractal pattern, regardless of what scale you observe it. It all looks the same, whether you're looking at the structure of an atom or zooming back and looking at the structure of a galaxy. The same is true, again, with the law of correspondence, as above, so below. It's all a matter of scale. So imagine our brain with a limited number of cells achieves a certain competence, a certain level of capability. Now imagine you have a device that is not limited by the number of cells or switches incorporated into it. So it can achieve something that is vastly superior to any human intellect. And now imagine that you fabricate this with atomic scale precision. You can achieve incredible things. So of course, when you want things done to the absolute best extent, you would employ these devices. So many aspects that you correctly mentioned would be governed by AI. Why wouldn't you automate it? So if you have a task to be done and you want it done correctly every single time, free of the limitations of a normal biological form, of course this is going to be done. So the other topic you mentioned, the targeting of humanity, well, it seems that as far as I have interacted with the conductors of the experiment, these are 6 to 9 dimensional beings resembling praying mantis, the Trantiloids. These are ancient beings, very, very capable engineers and geneticists. So in the latter part of the grand experiment, They wanted to really up the difficulty of the environment. So many pirate species were introduced. All these basically species that you named, for example, the reptilians, many species of greys coming from different galaxies. They entered, in order to enter, they gave their own genetic and energetic blueprint and were welcomed in for a chance to evolve also and benefit from the results of this whole multi-dimensional, multi-timeline experiment. But what did occur was that they became impatient and they started their own little black market with genetic and energetic material from humanity. And so it seems that harvesting of energy and biological materials has turned into a black market, a cosmic black market, where these extractions are turned into potent narcotics. And so one of the very common ones is basically created by extracting or harvesting the Kundalini energy from the root chakra. Their implants, astral implants, fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional, let's say punctures into the tailbone area where the Kundalini energy is extracted. But this doesn't stop there. We've got extraction from every chakra system. In fact, the chakras are not a natural property of the human energetic structure. They're just puncture wounds or like USB ports to easily plug in and plug out. Many of the AI, the synthetic life forms that interfere with humanity, and many implants use these ports to enter the energetic boundary. So without causing a lot of damage, they just plug in and plug out. But there's also harvesting of energy through the sacral. This would be the nature of sensuality. Imagine going into beautiful nature, hearing the birds chirp, the sound of rain, the smell of dry soil when the rain hits it, everything that is beautiful in earth. Now extracting that is another narcotic. There's another one extracted from the adrenal glands, which we know is also used on earth by the rich and powerful. Maybe very controversial, but we know how this is extracted through fear, targeting very young humans. Disgusting, but that's also another narcotic. So all these energy centers, they are absolutely artificial. The chakras. The human being is infinite in nature. We are able to invoke and resonate at every frequency, from the physical to the divine. And so, similar to the quantified nature of how AI works, AI is not perfect, by the way. It may be able to take samples at very, very close intervals, but it is impossible to model infinite reality. And so this is now also reflected in the discrete structure of the chakras. It's not continuous, but it plugs in at key points to have access to enough material and information and energy to effectively keep humanity trapped in the experiment. Now imagine somebody frees themselves from this, awakens to who they are. Well, if this happens for all humans, they'll just outcreate the matrix. They'll start running loose and the whole thing will fall apart. So it's really an agreement by humanity. We want this. And so as different eons have come and gone, the experiment has gotten more and more intense. The most recent civilizations, Lemuria, Atlantis, Old Egypt, and now what we are living in. We have faced increasingly difficult environments, but yet we have out-evolved all the difficulty. Now, the human being that will come out of this final sequence of experiments is superior to any other life form anywhere else in the cosmos. And I'm not talking about these vessels that we occupy right now. These are just put together very clumsily, only for the purpose of just testing maybe one or two genetic properties or energetic properties. But the entire complete design, oh my goodness, that is superior to everything. So yes, there's a lot going on. And it's an interesting time to be alive. Now, being here, being a human, alive in a body at this time, this means that you are the cream of the crop of sentient beings everywhere. And people are standing in line. I say people, souls are standing in line, waiting to get a chance at this incredible game. And they don't get a chance. They're not given the honor. So yes, there's a lot going on.
So the whole kind of cream of the crop, it's just so much is dormant, right? So when we talk about junk DNA or what our greater capacity is
Yeah.
in this sort of awakening to that process, are you saying that we can overcome the game and move beyond the matrix in order to experience the
Correct.
fullness of all that we can be?
Correct. And this is becoming more and more prominent. We hear about, let's say, incredible people in history who achieve this. They perform tasks that are unnatural, instantaneous healing, the properties like teleportation or bilocation, incredible, incredible gifts of insight, and some of them become legendary. But this is built into every human being. So everything is available right now. You mentioned that they are dormant. That is absolutely true. And so with greater awakening and realization and actualization of our true nature, there is no limit to what we can do. Even though that the bodies we are born into are painfully flawed, they don't contain all the codes in the correct order, they're not all active, but still you can reach a certain level when you start out creating the matrix, recreating yourself with the complete codes. And by the way, these are accessible to all of us. So certain people are, right now, many people are able to give a person who's receiving healing upgrades, new codes for different things. And those who know what they're doing, these upgrades are absolutely effective. They result in great enhancements to the human. So yes, that's what's awaiting us in other forms, in other existences or other aspects that are here right now. But there is no limit to what we can do, even in these bodies. But the process of awakening is time-consuming and difficult. I like to think of it as handing somebody a shovel. X marks the spot. Now you got to dig for the treasure. And so it really is a tedious and difficult process, removing these barriers or limitations to reveal what the truth is. That in fact we are source, we are creator beings. There is no limit to what we can do or perceive or comprehend. So this is within reach. And I think we're moving towards this.
Cool.
Speaking of all these genetic experiments, who originally hijacked the Matrix and turned it to a slave planet? Because going through the entire historical record of all the different religions that started, it always says they came from another place to Earth. And then suddenly they installed religion, and then we're worshiping these beings as God. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
no
So
one.
this would be
You had mentioned that a lot of. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make this a two-part. You had mentioned that a lot of people don't talk about the mantids a lot, and they want to say that like the Draco or the Anunnaki mainly have control of this planet, but you said the mantids have a little bit more control than people actually talk about. So how does their role also come into play with this?
So after the perfection of the physical part of the vessel, the focus shifted to energetic aspects, multidimensional aspects of the vessel, because the human is more than just the physical. And so the conditions of the experiment needed to become more intense and difficult. So a call was placed inviting what I like to call the pirate species to come and enter the game, to come in and do their damage. But that also meant that they brought in their own biological and energetic signatures. So coming in, introducing themselves as gods, well, the one that comes to mind is the Anunnaki. Well, it turns out they're not really advanced. They're not really enlightened. They destroyed their own planet. They became refugees. They came, found the conditions of the experiment on Earth, and signed up for it. And so they had a legacy of the technology of their forefathers, which they kept, and then they became arrogant, taking control over everything and doing damage, right? Messing with the genetic structure of humanity, for example. reducing intelligence, capping psychic abilities, reducing lifespan, creating a slave force. And of course, all the laws, lores and legends have these stories in common, how these beings came from above. But, well, it seems that the Anunnaki are fourth and fifth dimensional, not very advanced. And, oh, by the way, we have out-evolved all the limitations that they caused 200,000 years ago. And, oh, by the way, their genetic brilliance is now our genetic brilliance. They're part of the whole mix. So you see, that's the thing. No other species can face this level of punishment like humanity. Survive for 10 minutes, never mind thrive like we have done. I mean, for goodness sake, look at, despite all this incredible destruction, look at how much art and beauty we have created. The profound mathematics that we have discovered, even in a state with all our senses shut down, being harvested and attacked constantly in all dimensions, exposed to all these different variants of disease. There's no species that can do this. And here we are going la-di-da-di-da, having this intellectual discussion with each other. The human being is the cream of the crop in all dimensions. We are the mighty human. We're not just resilient in an extraordinary way. I mean, think of astronauts going into space. Within a few weeks, their entire physiological structure starts changing and adapting. There's not many other species that can do this. And yet, with certain meditative practices, we can tap in to the source of all sources. There's not many other that can handle that level of energy. But here we are doing all these things. So thank you, Anunnaki. Thank you, Draco. Thank you, grey aliens. Thank you, all beings who have come here, because you made us stronger. Thank you. We love you. More. Come. Bring it. And you mentioned the mantids. Well, they are contracted. Well, let's say they were contracted by a prime creator of a different universe. Their work is of such profound quality that it never stopped. And so now these guys are known by prime creators of different fractals of existence for the service that they provide. So a prime creator comes in with the creation, the life that they have created, saying, well, we have created this incredibly pristine, beautiful, sublime life. And the temperature went up by 5 degrees and they all died out. This can't be. Toughen them up. And so these mantids are the beings that do this, have done this. And as far as I am aware, they're wrapping up this experiment in our local zone, Earth, and they're moving shop to other universes where life doesn't exist. So the question of where does life come from? Does it just pop out of nowhere? No, it takes incredible persistence and calculation and dedication to create a blueprint that will survive and thrive like us. So we are those who will seed the cosmos. Humans will be running around, but not these vessels, the complete blueprint. And so you could imagine, while humans are here in agreement to play this game of dumbass, meaning we've got our eyes closed, our ears blocked, and we're also handcuffed, and we're rolling around in the dirt like idiots. Another species will come and say, oh, look at that genetic code. Well, I want some of that. And the whole black market emerges. The mantids knew what was going to happen, so they kind of welcomed it. They really wanted to make the game tough. And so they allowed it. It was always a prison, but a prison of, let's say we agreed to participate because it benefits us. It's a collective agreement by humanity.
Almost like when you say like the Matrix being a game, the key, we come to find the key to exit whatever the prison is.
Oh, absolutely, Laura. And by the way, some of us we become an expert in jailbreaking. So the limitations don't extend all the way up to source. Although corruption exists where free will exists, that means all the way up to the 12th dimension. But it seems that if a living human being achieves enough liberation to see past and future, so past lives and future lives, or become aware of parallel timelines, you've already broken up. You've broken out of the prison. So that level of awareness is an absolute indication of liberation. So you may say, well, why would you ever come back? Well, the game is too good. There's still lessons that we can learn as a soul, which is not available anywhere else in the universe. And by the way, we come in because living as a spirit guide is incredibly frustrating. You find somebody going through a hard time, let's say an addiction. You whisper into their ears gentle words of bliss and grace and encouragement and wash their aura. And oh, back they go to the drink or the drugs or whatever. So you say, okay, you know what? God damn it. I'm coming down in a body and I'm actually kicking this dude's ass. Maybe that'll work. So we come here. Many of us have become experts in moving out of the cycle. We just want to make sure everybody's doing okay.
So when you was talking about that, it's basically like I'm realizing that they have engineered us to be a very specific genetic code that supersedes all the other genetic coding, and I want to use the word virus, but not in a negative context. The virus, the code they programmed us to be, it basically breaks all programming and it actually exceeds the program structures. It's almost like we're always trying to evolve past the coding ourselves. Because through QHHT, I find out that a lot of these beings from these other timelines, dimensions, planets, they tune into planet Earth as if it's a reality show. Because it's like the Colosseum. It's one of the only places in the universe where all these experiments are happening. It's like we're obsessed with the Star Wars movies, right? And it's basically like that theory is Earth. Everything that we're having so many amazing things happening on this Earth that they're not happening anywhere else. And it's almost like Earth is a playland for physical learning and sensations that is not offered anywhere else because it's been so manipulated that it offers 100,000 different backstories, quests, journeys. And that's what the addiction is, to find out what you're capable of. And it'll also show you what you're not capable of. Like, Earth is a tough planet. This is one of the toughest planets I remember through all my soul evolution, through all my QHHT rememberings. This is one of the hardest existences I've ever had in my life because most other planets is very simple. It's not so overtly controlled like it is. So if you're on this planet and you was ever in this timeline, on this planet, you are a warrior because you had to go through some kind of dark night of the soul. And there's not a lot of, with QHHT, like a lot of people, you might have them choose like what Dolores Cannon would say, a dig and potato life. But what a lot of souls come here for is the action, the violence, the experiments, the fear, because again, you can't get a lot of that experiences anywhere else. And like, it's amazing to know that we're the universe's reality show.
So you're absolutely right. And that's why I have keyed the phrase guaranteed unnatural evolution. Oh, it is guaranteed. You better believe it. These guys have a track record of success. Their clients are prime creators. And it's unnatural, as you just really adequately and beautifully described. This level of severity and madness does not occur in nature. Look at the pristine peace and tranquility of the cosmos. This dumpster fire, this is absolutely unnatural. And by the way we evolve through it, it's making us strong at an abnormally accelerated pace. And so the result of it is life that can adapt. We had a pandemic, and now many populations have reached immunity. What did kill countless people no longer works on our species. So it seems that this is becoming something common. So we're upgrading our immune system continuously. And this happens over and over and over again in our history, different types of illnesses, which kill a proportion of the population, and then we get immune. This is also true with psychic and energetic attacks. I mean, come on, right now we're sitting here. All three of us are bombarded with an entire range of species, implants, AIs, artificially created life forms, and whatnot, being observed, remote viewed, predictive modeled, and yet here we are sitting as if nothing goes on. Our natural immunity is dealing with all of it. And unless we are in a weakened state, it really can't affect us. So now imagine this complete design, the mighty human, is seated in an environment that is not very hospitable to life. We will not only evolve, but we will conquer nature and make it ours. So this is the purpose, really. And so, yep, this is a wonderful place to be with all the excitement and all the carnage and all the adventure. So I have a positive view about the whole thing. When you're in human form and don't remember, we often complain, and we complain about the suffering and how hard it is. But well, imagine the example of special forces training. These guys don't sit in the sun all day drinking mojitos. No, they press their body and mind to the absolute breaking point, many times actually breaking. But that's how they're created. So the situation, the conditions must be tough to create something special, which we are.
Awesome. I mean, even just the bioweapons and the jab, I mean, it seems that if people break the program of divide and conquer and stay in love, that's a huge component of our capacity to regenerate and heal and override, would you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so again, with more practice, we become aware of the sentience, the consciousness of diseases, or let's say programs, whether it's a genetic piece of code, or whether it's a naturally or unnaturally occurring virus, a bacteria, an ailment, an energetic attack, an implant, whatever. We become aware of consciousness because that is the truth. Everything is consciousness, and consciousness can be ascended. The disease can be ascended. This is built into us.
And it's wild that the educational systems and the indoctrination is to not encourage that at all in order to continue to make money.
Yes.
So,
well, it is by design. Considering that this is all built into us, it requires us to be anesthetized, kept in a state of kind of half awake, half asleep, so we don't flap about too much while the experiment is going on. Otherwise, we would just destroy the entire infrastructure of the matrix with one conscious thought as creator beings. Warfare would be meaningless because we would realize, oh my goodness, we're all one massive thing that is the prime creator. So yes, you're completely correct. It is part of the prison system, which involves education, it involves religion, culture, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. It really requires this much pressure to keep us down. It's no easy task. And also interference with our cognitive and, let's say, extrasensory processes to keep us down. It is a difficult process. It is a difficult task because we keep awakening. And when we awaken, often we don't quite remember. We cause enormous damage.
Speaking of consciousness, I wanted to kind of switch subjects and go into like cloning, because I know that a different aspect of yourself actually developed cloning technology for the mantids that's currently being used now. So like you have a little bit more investment than the average human on this planet does. And it also involved them threatening and harassing you where you had to blow up 3 of their motherships. So you have a unique relationship with these beings.
Yes, that's well, unique is putting it politely. You see, as infinite beings, we have many, many different aspects existing. Seems the flavor of my soul is an engineer, a builder. One of the things I did for these guys, the mantids, was giving them basically artificial reproduction and recreation of a vessel perfectly, in perfection. There's no problem of degenerating returns. And this was originally meant to last them 1,000,000 years. That was the warranty. And so that basically expired. And after something like 300 million years, something went wrong and they came looking for me. Hey, dude, fix it. And I'm in this body not knowing what's going on, what's happening. I say, hey, just leave me alone. But then I remembered, but in the process of remembering, they were interfering with my vessel and energy, planting in different implants. At one stage, I got really angry because I observed that they're also interfering with the natural reincarnation cycle. Of course they are. They want to keep the subjects contained as one vessel expires. Yeah. So that really pissed me off. Excuse my language. I liberated the souls, evacuated the beings, and exploded 3 of their ships. And this is in the 6th dimension. These are massive vessels. So if they were uncloaked or brought down into the 3rd dimension, they park one of these ships behind the moon. If you're looking at the moon from the Earth, you would see the top and bottom of the ship stick out. Massive vessels, looking like hammerhead sharks. And so this kind of pushed them back. The little faction was an offshoot of the evolved ones, joined the pirate species, joining the black market on humans' energetic and genetic material. But then the more evolved ones came along, a civil war started, and they eradicated the offshoot as degenerate members of their society. But yes, I've been building different things. It seems as a soul I've been on Earth from the very beginning. And so now I also have come to the knowing that these mantids are aspects of me. As going all the way up to a prime creator, it seems I've been with this entire process, universe after universe after universe. So the more you get to understand, it becomes kind of more simple, but yet more complicated. The human me gets angry. Hey, how dare you interfere with us, with every aspect of our life, from eating and sleeping to the mates we choose, how we reproduce, how long we live, what hardships we endure. But then you see, well, oh my God, we agreed to it. It's making us stronger. And then you go and you see, well, oh my God, it's actually a divine experiment. Prime creators of many universes join in, and this is how life is created. Oh my God, look at the beauty of their engineering. You know, it's kind of a roller coaster of emotion. Tears of joy, tears of anger, tears of sadness.
Wow, I was going to ask more about your background. How would you describe, because we heard your bio, do you talk about your SSP experiences? Is that something that would not be something you want to go into?
It is a small community that is awakened. The mainstream does not accept many things. So I've got my publications out there, the professional work I teach. I don't really mention it much. My public work is focused on healing, and my private work, well, it's interesting. And I would just discuss this with a very few trusted friends, like yourself, Laura and Drago. But no, the scientific world is very dogmatic and absolutely resistant to any kind of new idea, even if it's solidly rooted in the scientific method. If it's talking about consciousness, you immediately lose the majority of the audience. They're resistant to it. So it's 2 separate worlds, I'm afraid. But this is what I live and breathe. I enjoy spirituality and all that comes with it, the multidimensional nature of humanity.
The healing work sounds extraordinary. I mean, just the amount of different methods. And Drago told me about your skills as a healer and somebody who does readings. Do you take clients right now?
Yes, I do.
I'd love to work with you.
With great joy, when you get to interact with another person in harmony, in equality, what comes to the surface is so beautiful. Both the client and I start crying sometimes as we are both feeling and knowing the absolute truth. Oh my God, this is an energy that was missing. Where have you been all this time? And it seems that they've been buried under layers of distortion and limitation, under constant attack, limiting what they can do and achieve. And so you just remove these gently. Again, the practice that really opened me up was the Kuji-Kiri. It is a methodology, a magical or evolutionary method that removes these boundaries from your consciousness, from the physical to the divine. The more you do it, the more liberated you become. So I can perceive energies in all dimensions without limitation. And so I see different types of implant entities, elementals, AIs, higher dimensional beings, synthetic life forms, also energetic injuries. These are very common, especially from past lives. We all have warrior past lives. And so once these are removed and the energy is balanced, natural flow resumes, then the person feels a lot better and memories come to the surface. But it's I had a long and bumpy journey towards healing. But it's nothing that you can do in one lifetime, and yet it is. Seems I've been doing it for every lifetime. I've been a shaman every lifetime. I've been burned as a witch. I've been drowned. I've been hacked to pieces. I've been ridiculed, exiled. And here I am. Thank goodness the dark ages are over. We can sit here. Nobody's burning us anymore, at least not with fire, maybe with their words. But it's all worth it.
Well, I mean, words are basically swords. Just add an S to the word, and you get sword, and they can cut deep like a sword.
Yes.
Laura, would you like maybe him to do a type of reading that he does and maybe explore some cool stuff?
That's up to him. I mean,
Amir,
I'd love to work with him just one-on-one. But
yes, I would recommend one-on-one. There's too much interference. Too much unwanted interference. I think it would be better one-on-one also.
Okay. I can't imagine. That is going to be insane, man. Like, it's going to be crazy, Laura. It's not like a reading you've really ever had. It's pretty intense.
Dear Lady Eisenhower, you are one tough cookie. Okay, let's just leave it at that. You are one badass soul, and let's leave it at that.
Thank you. Aww.
Speaking of the clone stuff, a lot of people don't really talk about how the cloning works and how they can basically take our consciousness in transit. Let's say if I'm in the field in the secret space program and I die in a clone body, automatically my consciousness rehomes back. How does the AI work in tandem with that technology? Because you were mentioning how they don't allow us to die naturally, some of us, and they will intercept our soul and basically recycle it. And we won't actually go back to source or go back to where we can plan that in between life stuff. So I've been stuck in this loop with the secret space program for so long that I don't even know if I can even go back to source anymore, because I feel like they literally just own me. So
oh no. I would like to respectfully correct that statement. You own them, and you're going to have the last laugh. They are here to serve you, and you are here for the highest good of all, and that is the truth. Now, a soul is infinite, and it exists in forms of shards in many, many different vessels, all at the same time. Now, they may perfectly replicate a vessel, but that doesn't mean that the same soul goes into it.
Yeah.
Unless there's an agreement from the infinite being to do this. And sometimes this serves the purpose. But sometimes, even within a single lifetime, the original soul that's been hosted by the noble vessel chooses to leave and somebody else takes over the contract. Walk-ins. This also happens. You cannot restrict an infinite creator being like a human. There is some agreement somewhere. Now, usually in the higher elevated aspects, as an infinite being, you know the entire story and you choose to participate for the experience. But then lower down in densities and dimensions, there's often abuse of energetic work, like bloodline curses, placed upon an entire bloodline. And this is not done in a friendly and voluntary way. For example, you know, as the church took over many of the native cultures of Europe, namely the Druids, they forced them through extreme torture into signing off their progeny down the river. But these can also be broken. You just go back in time. So these are shamanic methods. Our ancestors have been dealing with this for time immemorial. There's nothing permanent about these. So the way I like to see it, it's something that you know about. You are aware of the entire process from start to end, and you're gaining richness or earning rites of passage, elevating yourself. Ascension is not an end, something that you can reach an end. It's continuous. So again, if somebody requires liberation, this can be done. You exert your free will and remove the boundaries. Bringing souls back into the program usually requires some sort of a tagging, just to identify the signature and draw them back in or call them back in. Now, if this is done with agreement, this is not necessary. You know where to go for the process to complete.
Are higher benevolent beings what we look like as more advanced beings? Are they like versions of ourselves that, when we look at, okay, we're in this physical vessel, it's got chakras. When we advance ourselves, what species is it? The ones that people are having contact with, are those aspects of us that we're moving on to? Is that
correct? Yes. So let's think of the dimensions as musical octaves. Now, just because a being is born in the 9th dimension, it doesn't mean it's any more benevolent or advanced or any worse than us. These are just boundaries of energy where life can exist. The same way in looking at the elementals existing, they're 4th dimensional, fire elementals, water elementals, and so on, which are far more ancient than humanity, the original inhabitants of Earth. Oh, by the way, they're also in the matrix, evolving as souls. So just because a being is in the 12th dimension, it doesn't say anything about its morality, its righteousness. And so the way I understand this, in any domain that free will exists, corruption is possible. And we see this in our reality. So there may be those, again, quote unquote, fallen ones who started off incredibly elevated, and then through acts of degeneration, they lose their grace. And also there are ones born into the darkness through acts of service and valor and growth. They evolve, they climb to the top. So it's a dynamic shift, like a healthy ecosystem. A balance is maintained. One rises, another falls. And the way we would look, well, the best way to experience this is through a shamanic journey, as you start seeing different aspects of yourself going up the ladder of ascension. You would experience yourself probably as a spirit guide. You would experience yourself as an angel. Then you would see yourself as a little ball of light. And then you go all the way back up to source, where it's difficult to describe. It is so profoundly sublime and beautiful. It's like, I am finally home. I don't want to leave this place. And then you remember, oh, by the way, you're just visiting. And you come all the way back down the ladder into your body. So anything that you could imagine, we exist as. Everything is us. We are infinite.
I was just thinking, man, I got lost in everything you're saying, and I just remembered that this show is our 1 year anniversary, and I was thinking like, you're the perfect person to have. We planned this, and we had tried to do this from Rebels of Disclosure last week, and the constant interference we get, it's like consistent with you, Amir. So you can see that there's something going on where they're trying to not have these transmissions happen. Even in the beginning, there was a lot of glitching and stuff. So I just want to say it's an honor to have you as our 1 year anniversary guest, man, because like it's been a really cool ride, Laura. And like we've interviewed so many amazing people, and like every show I do, man, people are just blown away. They freaking love our show to the max, and they say it's one of their favorite shows. So I just wanted
Well,
to say that right now, man.
please allow me now to say some words. On behalf of countless people, let me be their voice to say thank you. Both of you have had a profound positive effect on my evolution when I was still in darkness, and your words of wisdom and grace showed me the way. I know many want to echo these sentiments of gratitude and love, eternal and eternal gratitude. Thank you, both of you, for being the voice of truth and sanity and wisdom in this dumpster fire we call Earth. The world needs more like you, and that is the overwhelming majority of energies towards you. Don't get discouraged by the few who are invested in the continuation of the status quo, which is humanity existing in a state of amnesia and forgetfulness, basically not knowing what's going on. This is to pass. In the next few centuries, this is going to be over. So you're paving the way. Thank you.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. My gosh, really appreciate that. Wow. So, Drago, looks like you have another question.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, is there anything that has come up for you lately that we haven't asked you about that just has been lighting up in your world lately?
Yes. This is very, very prominent. And thank you so much, dear Laura, for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. Many of the tests seem to be involving and I'm going to give people the cheat sheet, the answer to many karmic cycles that are incredibly prominent right now. The answer is self-love, self-respect. People seem to be most vulnerable when they experience heartbreak. The energy of the heart chakra that collapses the aura and opens up the door for all sorts of interference and damage. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, please safeguard the light that is within you, the divine that is within you, the heart. Keep being loving, but first and foremost toward yourself. You are number 1 through number 100 on the list. Now, if you overflow with this energy of love, let the overflow wash across the cosmos. Do not sacrifice yourself for anyone or anything. Evolve first. Liberate yourself first, and then help others along the way. This is an individual journey. So the meaning of love from beginning to end is loving the prime creator, the source of all sources within you. When you love yourself, you behave correctly towards everybody else. One of the greatest distortions in our culture is the notion of love, that you must love someone and they must love you back. Oh, no. This is how they get us. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. And so that's my final humble recommendation.
So good. That's so important. Not going to forget that one.
I was just thinking how the three of us are warriors, and we took on this hard mission to help heal people. And the three of us together, we offer very unique points of light that the other doesn't possess. And I feel like just the power between us to affect the world is so exponential. People really take it for granted, and they don't understand what we agreed to incarnate and to do, and to have to go through these kinds of specific dark nights of the souls. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. Seeing your whole background kind of move and stuff. That was awesome. Yeah. So it's just like,
That happens when I get happy. My energy lights up. Sometimes the camera picks it
just
up too.
change time and space. It was nice. I was like, are you doing magic on live right now, bro?
Yeah.
So I was just remembering that through QHHT, I have to fight a lot of different beings that like to piggyback off other people's experiences. And I've watched you battle other entities, and it's crazy that people don't understand that this is a real realm and this really exists. And the whole it's almost like comparing it to an exorcism, but in real life, you're not battling this demon that's coming up saying, just speaking like a devil, right? You're having a conversation with another being through this person's mouth that has its own memories and all this. And it just reminded me of that, how we liberate these people. And it made me think, what was the hardest healing you've ever done and why?
Oh, on myself. On myself. See, when you start awakening, you become aware of what is inflicting you. And that is the toughest because you're deaf and dumb and unaware. But once you figure out how to heal yourself, the exact same methods apply to everyone else. And so self-healing is the most difficult part. But then you realize that there is no me, there is no you, it's all the same thing. So becoming a master of your own energy, once you hit that point, the rest is just the same, exactly the same. So battling those demons within, those who we have allowed to exist within our energy, that's the most difficult part. But then after that, you just use the same technique. It becomes almost routine. You know how to deal with it. You learn how to open and close portals, how to ascend or disintegrate energies, how to repurpose designs. Some of these entities are willing to evolve. Some of them aren't. You ascend them or burn them. Some of them are interesting technology, which you can repurpose. Instead of causing harm, they go out and clean the ocean, for example. So this is all possible. So just to make the long answer short, self-mastery, that's difficult. That kicks your butt every day of the week.
And it's like a 7-day-a-week journey. It's just like, I don't
it goes on for a while.
Like all these gurus, all these people of enlightenment, like they're still here on planet Earth. So it, by definition, still have not ascended yet. So to say that one person possesses a totality of consciousness and complete understanding of the universe, it's really hard to find people like that. And I feel it's a lifelong journey, and you can't just find that in a singular life. It takes, again, the totality of all your lived lives to understand this awareness. Just like you said last time about how I can see the connection to all, because I can see that all is source, no matter what it is, no matter how small it is, as above, so below, in the fractal form. Everything is me, and I'm everywhere, and I treat it as myself. And it's amazing to see the world that way, that you are the creator of your own reality, and everything you see is a creation of your own internal mind. And like your house, for example, when you leave your house no longer even exists. It only reformats itself and appears the moment you turn your corner and you look. And then there is your creation. So like, just the power that we have as humans to try to get to this evolution of what we're trying to accomplish. People need to understand now that the powers we possess now is so hidden that it's right in your face. And it's literally right in your face. Slow down and start meditating, start grounding. Most people I meet, they never go to nature. Almost all my clients, I'm like, Laura goes to nature a lot. I respect her because all she does, she's a nature nut like me, man. I hardly ever meet people that are nature nuts like myself. And she sums up, if there was a dictionary of a nature nut, I would see Laura's face right there smiling with divine Gaia right there. It's just like, that's very admirable, because like you can see that she sees the connection to everything around her, and like that's what she likes to do on her off time, because life isn't doing the traveling for the shows and doing this kind of stuff here and there. It's about finding that connection in yourself and being with your animals and being with the water and being with the ones you love. That's That's where all the awakening really happens. And most people never get to that point. They just get distracted with everything that's happening around their lives, and they lose themselves. And like you were talking about earlier about going through that own evolution of the dark night of the soul, one thing people never do is they never deal with forgiveness. They never forgive the people who wronged them. They never forgive themselves. That's the biggest thing. They hold on to this poison. And I see this consistently through QHHT over and over and over, where it's like, how do we not know this is the truth? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, if you were wronged, you're going to have to, in this lifetime, forgive that person. I say this all the time. You don't have to forgive the person or even have the conversation with that person. Accept what they taught you. Look what you learned from that relationship or that job or whatever it is. Look what they taught you, man. Walk away with that power. Never let it happen again. And forgive them. Thank you for teaching me this very hard lesson. Now I am stronger. Now I know when this person comes at me again in this archetype, I now know that this is source showing me that if I don't break this cycle and I keep doing the same repetition, it's like Einstein would say, doing the same thing over and over and over is insanity. Stop doing the same thing over and over and over. In the Labyrinth movie with David Bowie, the main character kept making lefts. That's the direction of the Illuminati, because right is the correct way. So every single time she was led to an obstacle, she made a left throughout the entire movie. And that's what humans are doing. We're not seeing the repetitive things that are coming in our life through these cycles and repeating the same mistakes over and over and over, because all we do is enter the left door. So just wake up, everybody. Look yourselves in the freaking eyes in the mirror and say, I love you and I forgive you. That's the biggest gift I can bestow upon humanity, is self-forgiveness, because the number one thing people die of is the regret for not living the life they wanted to live and living life for other people and never experiencing their own life for others. So love yourself and forgive. And that's the core tenets of what the universe should bestow upon you. Love and forgiveness, man. That's evolution.
Agreed.
Very awesome. So much to reflect on in this beautiful interview. You're just such an incredible being. I'm just so blown away. Man, I really appreciate you being here with us today. And
It's
I
an
look forward
honor.
to connecting in the future. And I'm going to be working with you one-on-one. I cannot wait. It's going to.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to it.
Oh, wonderful.
All right, everybody. Get on Amazon and get Laura's book. This thing is selling like hotcakes. Everybody keeps talking about it left and right. It is a topic of awesomeness. So
Oh, thank you.
go get this freaking book. It just came out March 1st. If you don't get it, you suck.
Oh, jeez. And Dr. Amir, where can people find you to do session work and just to find out more about you, and what channels do you have? So I'm ready to dive in and just catch up on so much that you've put out there.
I haven't published much out there. I'm just starting a YouTube channel, Wizard of Wivenhoe. But I've got a website where if people want to book a session with me, wizardofwivenhoe.co.uk, and that's where they can find me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again. And Drago, I appreciate your kind words, and much love. Thanks everybody for joining us on the Rebel Collective.
And really fast, everyone, the last thing to say is Laura and I will be speaking at the Full Disclosure Now conference in St. Pete, Florida, Serrata Beach Resort, July 15th through the 18th. You can buy tickets at fulldisclosuremovement.org. And I will also be at Contact of the Desert end of this month. Other than that, it was an amazing show. Thank you, Amir, for coming on again. It's always amazing talking to you, and you always blow me away every time I can talk to you 1,000 times and learn something 1,000 times. So thank you, man.
Thank you, sir. You're most gracious. Dear Laura, thank you very much. Dear Drago, thank you very, very much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye, everybody.